Hey guys, how's it going? My name's Breph, and welcome to another one of these pointless endeavours. Today, I'm asking the question, can you beat Pokémon HeartGold with only Armaldo? Yes, this video is still going ahead, and look, it's finally out. While I am aware this isn't going to be a challenge given Armaldo's pretty hefty stats, I figured given the whole coronavirus outbreak going on, we may as well have a little bit of fun in the process. Speaking of coronavirus, the UK went into a sort of semi-lockdown state the other day, and I've been having technological issues, which is brilliant timing as ever, but I do apologise so much for the delay to this video. So those stats that I mentioned, well, they look like this. Heavy investment into physical attack and defence at 125 and 100 respectively will make for a brutally fun run. And if you ask me, that feeling is compounded by having 70 special attack and 80 special defence. The bug rock typing does leave us vulnerable to water, rock and steel moves, which could leave aspects of this run slightly more challenging than others. I'm really looking forward to this one, so let's quickly run through the rules before we begin. They are simple enough for this run. Armaldo only in battle and no items are allowed in there either. This run, let's try and make up for the slightly higher stats than usual. So I'm saying that I won't be allowed to use TMs in this run. Yes, we're going to do this with Armaldo's natural moveset, and its natural moveset alone. That all out of the way, let's jump right into it. The game begins and we choose the male character, naming ourselves something witty and inventive like Breph. We visit the professor who gifts us our first Pokemon, Armaldo. I think long and hard about a nickname for him and ultimately settle on Gary, after the biggest, the best, the original Gary the Snail. I don't know guys, I just saw some kind of resemblance here, but don't judge me, I've been in isolation and my mind, it goes to weird places. Professor Elm sends us off towards Mr. Pokemon, and on the way back we bump into a red-headed bloke who decides to challenge us to a fight, which he promptly loses. Getting back to the lab, we reveal that his name is Patrick, named after, well, I think you already know that. Why? Because this guy wants to be the star of everything, but, well, I think we can all agree Gary was the real star of that show. So off we head in search of a challenge, starting with Faulkner. Honestly, this was pretty much more of an annoyance than a challenge. Pidgeotto decided that it wanted to play silly buggers with me for a large portion of our encounters. I first tried at level 12, and having been hit by Sand Attack and having to deal with the spamming of Roost, yeah, it wasn't successful. I went away, gained a few more levels, and came back before successfully claiming the first badge. Armaldo is in the erratic level up group, meaning that its level up is, well, erratic. Thankfully for me, it appears that Gary isn't afraid of ploughing through the levels with a little less effort than usual. By the time we've made our way through the Slowpoke well to Bugsy, this has most definitely been the case. I had good reason to be shit scared of this fight. Cypher hits like an absolute tank, and while we were fortunate enough to win this fight on our very first attempt at level 23, it was done so with only just 4 HP, which makes for a nervy experience if you haven't had one yourself yet. Trekking through the Ilex Forest, we arrive in Goldenrod City to the front door of the normal type gym and its infamous leader Whitney. Thankfully in these remakes her Miltank isn't as horrible to fight as in the Gen 2 originals, but she still has a lot of power over us, given our typing being weak to rollout. At level 25, the fight is nervy but successful. What the hell is it with us when finishing gyms on 4 HP this game? By the time we've made our way up to Morty, we're level 32. I was a bit skeptical coming into this fight, but by the end of it, I was practically shitting myself. Finishing any major fight is an excellent feeling, but finishing it on 3 HP, this time knowing it could have been a lot worse, is a mixture of pure terror and euphoria. I think this lockdown is getting to my head guys, I'm getting real happiness from a Pokemon game. Damn. So off the back of that moment, we climb the Olivine Lighthouse and sail off over to Cyanwood to collect some medicine for a sick animal. A fact I'm very jealous of given the fact that I'm not even allowed to go and buy beer anymore. How the hell am I going to cope doing these challenges sober? Well, the first answer to that is by challenging Chuck. During our training, we leveled up enough to learn Fury Cutter, a weak move with the added benefit of having damage scale up with each back-to-back use. It took me a few attempts of sober stubbornness before we defeat the big man himself without taking a single point of damage. Now, speaking of stubbornness, I've decided that I'm going to use this quarantine time to work on my flirting skills. Turns out that Jasmine doesn't appreciate those and challenges us to meet her in the gym. Now, I know I'm pathetically useless when it comes to speaking to women of any kind, but a challenge, that's something I can't say I'm bad at. So in the gym we go, and no sooner have we begun the fight, we're leaving with our tail between our legs. Turns out, steel type moves are a bastard and a half to our little Gary. Which means off I go on a grinding session, leaving Jasmine to wait patiently for a rock hard spanking at the hands of our fossil. We come back at level Valentino Rossi, and with thanks to good fortune and hard hitting attacks, we deliver the aforementioned spanking and walk out of the gym. I decide that the next thing to do, logically, is go and see one of the Johto region's natural spots of beauty. I stop by the Lake of Rage and encounter a gobby teenage Magikarp, followed up by bumping into a bloke with a really nice jacket. He asks for our help and we head into the Rocket Hideout's younger brother, destroy the generator underneath it, worse than I destroyed my ribs on that drunken night out while I was jumping over bollards on the walk to the club, and with that done, the door to Price's gym is now wide open for us. The old, frosty man probably didn't realise what he'd gotten himself into when the young, insecure Breph stood before him. But as soon as the young man emptied his ball and revealed his huge, scaly, solid partner Gary, a sweat broke out on his forehead. Now, while I don't think I have a career ahead as a narrator, I do think I can make it as a Pokémon trainer. Price and his whole team fall as simply as you like. Exiting the gym, we get a call from the professor and are told to go and investigate the director of the Goldenrod radio tower. In a shock twist that nobody ever saw coming, yeah, he's been kidnapped. Through investigation and sheer willpower, we find him cowering in the basement of the department store, where he promptly thanks us for rescuing him and sends us on our way, in the direction of Blackthorn. Once there, we find our final Johto gym, Claire and her dragon types. Given the length of the journey we had to get there, we rock up at level 63, determined to do this without another grind. So I sit and I try, time and time again, to complete this. I believe I counted 32 attempts, but to be honest, I may have undercounted. I needed at least one ancient power to give me the stat boost, and for good fortune with any potential paralysis. With the grace of Arceus looking over us, we claim the last badge. Next stop, the Pokémon League. Or at least it would have been, except for the bullshit of having to meet up with the legendary bird for this game, Ho-Oh. We ascend up to the spire where we watch the kimono girls dance a fancy little jig and summon the creature before us. We engage in combat and subsequently knock it the fuck out. I guess being 4 times weak to rock does have its benefits for us, eh? Next stop, the Pokémon League. The actual Pokémon League, so don't worry, no more distractions. On the way, we level up enough to learn our most powerful move, X-Scissor. Cross-Scissor, however you want to say it. An 80 power physical stab powerhouse of a move. It's like Christmas come early for me. With our move pool for the moment set, I head on in. First member of the 4 is Will, the psychic type user. The good news is that our level and our moveset mean that we're more than powerful enough to pass right by him. That leaves us with the second fight, Koga. His newly promoted poison types might have the capacity to worry us, but we'll never know because Gary is tanky enough to destroy his entire team and set us on our way towards Bruno. Speaking of Bruno, he's the next one before us. His fighting type users really did scare me. I knew that his Onyx would be easy to deal with Metal Claw, but as it turns out, Crush Claw was also perfectly strong enough to see us through. Not even a cross chop from Machamp was enough to gift us with any serious worry. That leaves Karen up last, and as a dark type user, does anyone want to hazard a guess at how this fight went? X-Scissor on everything, Ancient Power on Houndoom and Murkrow, and Bob's your uncle. Only one man to go for this half of the game, eh? Champion Lance is the last member for this point in time. First out is Gyarados. A single Ancient Power is enough to drop it, with the bonus of a stat boost. Aerodactyl comes out and a critical hit helps us see our way into a nice stretch of this fight. Back to back to back Dragonite. A single ancient power on each of them is enough to do the business. This champion lark has gotten a lot easier than I thought it would be. Charizard is the last member out, and how fitting that the last hit of this league also raises our stats further. With that, the first half of the game is now over, and coming out into the second half, things are a lot the same as they were in the first. Trudging around another region, challenging leaders and collecting badges. Guess what I decide to do? In honour of the video that's coming out next time, I decide to trek through Kanto in the same order as on the trainer card. Where do I think I'll struggle here? Brock and Misty for sure, maybe Blaine and I'd assume Blue. Red, I'm confident about it, but Blastoise will be a nasty bastard and Pikachu knows Iron Tail. It could be a hard fight, but I'm confident. Let's go. Brock first, and he actually doesn't bother me. Despite having 2 water types on his team, he was actually pretty damn easy to defeat. I've had more stress trying to chat up an imaginary woman than I've had on this fight. And while we're on the topic, I've had more issues with that same imaginary lady than I did with Misty as well. Her team of water types had every reason to make me run for the hills. But as it turns out, I don't need to, I never needed to. This is easy as cake. After a long faff about with the electric gym puzzle and Lieutenant Surges, we get to face him too. Despite getting paralysed, Gary really comes out of his shell and we run off towards Erica. And given Armaldo's high base attack stat and the brute power that a super effective X-Scissor brings, the result of this fight was pretty much guaranteed. So off I head towards Janine. Given that we keep gaining levels at a rate that even I found unexpected, most likely due to being part of that erratic level up group, her fight ends about as easy as it begins, with us again not taking a single point of damage. Only Sabrina, Blaine and Blue remain now. So off to Saffron we go and tackle the Psychic type gym. This fight was very similar in situation to Erica. Cross Scissor, X Scissor, however you want to say it, it's way too powerful for her to put up any fight. Now all we have to do is head over and tackle both Cinnabar and Viridian City. Let's start where we have to start, the Fire type gym. Now, I'm not a baseball fan in any way, and I'm hoping that one of my US viewers can help me with this, but isn't there a thing called 3 strikes and you're out? That's exactly how the fight went with Blaine though, because 3 ancient powers later, and we're on to the final couple of fights. Blue has a very tough, very diverse team of overpowered beasts at his disposal. Unfortunately, he didn't plan his team around an opponent having an Armaldo with an Armaldo's moveset. Everything on his team, bar his Machamp, has a weakness in our current level up move pool. Blue is also the colour of his hide after we're done giving him a good old fashioned tanning. So that just leaves Red. Let me tell you, this was a surprising fight. I did a lot of research and testing with this fight, and well, it certainly does make for some surprising results. This fight is impossible. Yep, you heard me right, impossible, given our current rules. Pikachu knowing Iron Tail turns out to be a massive pain. One shot KO if it hits. Blastoise hits nasty Focus Blasts and Blizzards, and that is all I got. I can't get past it no matter what I tried. So with regret, I need healing items. A fair few of them too, no less, but fortunately with the aid of these, Red is defeated and the credits roll. Man, how pitifully embarrassing this was. Being unable to defeat a challenge with your favourite Pokemon, that is a real kick in the teeth. Especially given the stats that Armaldo boasts. Still, it does feel great to finally give this guy a run out on the channel and show off quite what he can do. I guess I love Armaldo because I see a bit of myself in it. Hard as nails on the outside, with a pretty hard hitting repertoire, but not quite being good enough to come out on top. Ah well. At the start of this video, I asked a simple question. Can you beat Pokémon HeartGold with only Armaldo? The answer, painfully to my heart, is no, with a proviso. No, not as far as I am capable of making happen with the rules that I set. I'm sure, no, I'm certain that with TMs this could be a hell of a lot easier than I've made it on myself, and it may even easily be possible. But I set the rules and I failed my challenge. By all means, give it a go. It's fun more than anything, even if it's taken 3/4 of a week too long to put out. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe for more content like this, and comment down below anything you might like to see me take on in the future. And please, join me next time, where I ask the question, can you beat Pokemon Fire Red with only a Trapinch? Thanks again so much for watching, and I cannot wait to see you all in the next one.